Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking some truly fascinating source material that decodes the essential mechanics of effective teamwork and leadership. You know, it's something absolutely critical to any group effort, yet it's incredibly easy to take for granted. So, let's dive right in. Think about your own workplace for a second. Despite having brilliant individuals on staff, why is it that organizations so often become completely siloed and chaotic as they grow? I mean, startups hit these massive walls, and giant corporations become super sluggish. Why exactly does that happen? To figure this out, we're looking at today's source material. It's a single, dense page of handwritten academic notes. It might look pretty simple at first glance, but honestly, it beautifully breaks down the deliberate work of management. It decodes exactly what goes wrong during growth and gives us the precise framework for what actually holds a company together. Section 1, the invisible business glue. Coordination is everywhere. Right off the bat, our notes define coordination as a pervasive function. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means it's not just some niche strategy for the marketing team or a tech-specific tool. It's required in all organizations, across all departments, and at all levels. It's literally the invisible gravity keeping the whole company from just floating off into complete chaos. And its primary purpose? Integration. The notes explicitly state that coordination integrates the efforts of different department levels. Think of it like a giant puzzle. You've got a sales team running hard in one direction, a product team sprinting in another, and finance stressing over the budget. Coordination is the ultimate glue that binds all those completely different efforts together into a single, functioning machine. Moving on to Section 2, managing the three levels. It's everyone's job. There is this massive misconception out there that coordination is just, the CEO's job. But our source material is super explicit here. Coordination is the responsibility of all managers. So let's walk down the management ladder from top level to middle level, all the way down to operational level to see exactly how this responsibility shifts at each specific stage. Let's start at the very top. Up here, managers aren't really down in the weeds with day-to-day granular tasks. Instead, they need to coordinate with their subordinates to guarantee that the big picture, overall organizational policies are actually executed on the ground. They're basically setting the compass and making sure the leadership beneath them is reading it correctly. Then, we step down to middle-level management. And wow, these folks walk a continuous tightrope. As the notes highlight, they must coordinate with both the top-level executives above them and the first-line managers below them. They're the ultimate translators, turning those grand policies from the top into actionable directives for the front lines. It's a seriously heavy coordination burden. And finally, we hit the operational level. Down here, managers are directly coordinating the day-to-day activities of the workers. Their coordination is focused entirely on present execution, ensuring that the actual work is proceeding accordingly. If the assembly line stops or a new software update doesn't ship, it's the operational coordination that just broke down. Which brings us to Section 3, a deliberate action, the conscious effort. There's this persistent myth in business that if you just hire willing, positive people, they'll naturally figure out how to work together. Well, actually scratch that. These notes brilliantly juxtapose a team's passive willingness against the active, conscious, and deliberate manner required from a manager. Coordination is an active verb, guys. It absolutely does not happen by accident. Just listen to this quote directly from the notes. Even where members of a department are willing to cooperate and work, coordination gives a direction to that willing spirit. I mean, they hit the nail on the head, right? Good intentions are simply not enough. Without a manager actively pointing the team toward a unified goal, all that willing spirit is just spinning its wheels. Section 4. Why coordination matters. The forces of growth. So, if coordination is such hard, deliberate work, why do we need it so badly? The source provides a clear framework outlining three primary drivers that demand it: specialization, growth in size, and functional differentiation, which is basically when departments develop their own little isolated subcultures. Let's zoom in on that growth piece. Focusing specifically on growth in size, the notes highlight a fundamental law of business physics. As an organization grows, the number of people employed obviously increases, and because of that, it becomes inherently difficult to integrate everyone's efforts. More people literally means more communication lines, more competing priorities, and vastly more chaos if it goes unmanaged. All right, final part, Section 5, harmonizing your goals, the ultimate objective. The ultimate challenge for organizational efficiency really boils down to a constant tug of war. On one side, you have individual goals, what an employee or a specific team wants to achieve for their own personal success. But on the other side, you have the broader organizational goals, what the company actually needs to survive and thrive. There is a natural, inevitable gap between these two sides. And the source concludes with this massive takeaway. True organizational efficiency is only achieved by actively harmonizing these competing goals. How do we do that? Through deliberate coordination. It is for sure the only way to ensure that an individual's pursuit of success actively contributes to the organization's overarching mission. So, I want you to take a hard look at your own workspace, your projects, your management style. Is your team deliberately coordinated? Or are you all just kind of coasting on a willing spirit, hoping the whole shebang magically comes together? It's a question that could literally define your organization's future. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.